Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 321 K County Sports Talk. John Parenti, along with Mike Green, Johnny Boots. Welcome back, Mr. Green.
Thank you. I would say it'd be great to be back, but we left like 80-degree weather just to come back.
Have you readjusted to the cool?
The first time I wore shorts in this weather, I realized, oops, we're not in Kansas anymore, for Florida.
I don't care.
I know. That's okay.
I don't care.
A very special show today because I bring along one of my best friends in the business, a guy that has achieved beyond achievement, a guy that has spent the better part of the last decade, or more actually, trying to bring about the best in student athleticism and improvement of high school athletics and beyond. Chuck Wilson is our guest, and it is so good to have you on board.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it's great to be with you.
Were you the first voice ever on ESPN radio?
Yes. Well, yeah. I think the actual open was. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think who it was, but yeah, I was the first host hired. But you got to understand, it was a weekend network, and there's it's funny. There's luck involved in a lot of things, right? I mean, when you hustle, you can put yourself in lucky situations. I didn't apply, but we're in Rhode Island. If I'm in Nebraska, that's not happening. So they were looking locally, and we had a good show. They listened to a tape, and it was a good show. We had plenty of poor shows, and so
we know.
Well, it happens. Listen, right? But you never know who's listening. I remember the Joe DiMaggio, right, saying the reason he played so hard is he said, this might be the one time that somebody sees me play, and I want them to see me playing my best. So, yeah, I was first host hired, and it was in the fall of 91. We went on the air at the beginning of 92, and these were these 7-hour marathons.
Yeah.
And no phone calls. We didn't take phone calls. So what you're doing, you're interviewing and discussing situations and so on. And I was sort of the news guy in a sense. And I was lucky because I was paired with Tony Bruno. He is so funny and smart, and you can't force chemistry, but it was luck because that might not happen. I mean, and there's luck all along the way. Real fast story. When I first got into the business, and it's absolutely the truth, I'm coming out of Ithaca College, and I went to see a friend of mine, good friend, had gone to Ithaca College with me, and his dad was a station manager, okay? I was going in for advice. They had no openings. I know it sounds crazy, but the news anchor came in at 3:30 in the afternoon, interrupted our meeting, quit on the spot. I did the 4 o'clock news with help from the news director, plenty of help. That's luck, right? I mean, that's just, and it's hard to believe that would happen. Fast forward, how do I get to Providence? I'm in Rochester, New York. I interviewed Dave Gavitt. It was 1980, the year that the U.S. boycotted the Olympics. He was the Olympic basketball coach. Good interview, real good interview. But anybody who knows Dave Gavitt, you can't do a poor interview with Dave Gavitt. Remembered me and recommended me when WEAM wanted to start a sports talk show. That's luck. And then you fast forward to ESPN. So long answer, but it's. I just want to get across, try to always put your best foot forward because you just never know how it might turn out for you.
We're here at Mr. Jason Ennis Cigar Lounge on Noosehead Hill Road in Coventry, our headquarters for this program. What do you think of the place?
It's great.
Place fine.
Yeah.
Great chairs.
Yeah.
We're here to talk about what you basically given your entire life to over the course of the past, 12 years, 10 years?
Yeah, since 2013. So we've been at it a little while.
It's called Evenfield. And this is where you hand over and says, here's what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've always believed in the concept of an even playing field. You want to win on merit. And interviewing, thousands of coaches, thousands of athletes, there are certain characteristics that you see that carry through. And I'd like to see kids be able to develop that. So what we do is we're using Evenfield to promote integrity, life skills, and leadership through sports, right? And right now, our primary program is Evenfield Honors, which is a program in partnership with the Rhode Island Interscholastic League that shines a light on examples of actions and behaviors on the playing field that bring out the best in others, right? Just moments where, wow, that was really admirable. And what we're asking is for Rhode Island Interscholastic League coaches at middle school, high school level, coaches, administrators, and game officials. Hey, when you see something that you think is admirable, just let us know. We have an online nomination form, evenfield.org. Real simple, take just a few minutes. Let us follow up. And we're, using the Evenfield Honors program to promote this. But the big key is we produce a video that shares that story, and we can keep it out there and share it with others and inspire the best in other people. So that's what we're trying to do.
I really wish we could have canned the last half hour prior to us going on the air, because between Mike and his experience coaching and your experience with Evenfield, there was this banter of story after story after story. And I want to pick up on some of that because I think the audience would be just as interested. So, Michael, where do we begin?
So that's a Hall of Famer right there. You didn't say anything during that banter when we were waiting to get on the air. You just took it all in, didn't you?
I did.
You just listened.
Yep.
You're a sponge. Well, I think
There's nothing wrong with that.
so I can speak for us. It was something that came forward to the principals committee in athletics, and we saw that come across and disseminated to the schools. And I'd like to say that I was proud to say that we had our representative Christian Briggs, the first one from West Warwick, to be so nominated at that time. And so as a coach, you want your players to kind of exhibit all those qualities that you're trying to promote in
What have you found that why that matters on a team? Those characteristics.
Well, because I think in any sport there's always adversity, and those positive characteristics will come up to the forefront when kids are faced with adversity, whether it's on the team, in practice, in the community. When you don't have a good leadership, it's rudderless, and young people are young people, and sometimes they don't make always the right decisions at different times. So having that leadership, that peer leader within the team, within the school, is really important because sometimes we can't help not having a coach in the building. And I always feel and I've said this a million times. So having a coach in the building is very important to a high school program because they know what the culture of the school is. Or if they don't, they need to know it, and so it's a lot easier to kind of bring them in and they live the culture of the school daily. So it's easier, but so many times it's really difficult to get a coach, because a lot of different, things that get in the way of coaches in the building. There's outside coaches who do a phenomenal job, but, there's no liaison in the building. And so that's why it's really important to have those really positive leaders in there as a student to kind of set the example for everyone else. And it's tough to find. Some schools, you have to, it might come from an unlikely source, and it might not be the star. And typically it isn't. Yeah. It's that blue collar athlete who comes to work every day, the lunch pail kid, never misses practice, is there every day, high expectations from himself and his teammates. And it's tough for a peer to challenge their peers.
Sure.
I can speak for just Christian. I can remember, the frustration sometimes of not everyone came to practice on time, and not everyone put the effort in the off season that you would expect. So, those are tough leadership roles that, they learn, because in life, they're going to have to they're going to be the parent or the captain of their ship in life, and they're going to need to know how to navigate when not everyone's on the same page. So I do think that leadership quality is very important.
the thing about the qualities that we're trying to honor, anybody can exhibit them. They're not tied to physical ability, right? We're talking about integrity. We're talking about resilience. We were talking earlier about the importance of resilience. We're all going to get knocked down. How do you get back up? You know, when a mistake is made, are you pointing fingers or are you trying to lift up others? These are qualities that are going to help, right? They're going to help our kids throughout their lives.
Right.
And if we can purposely try to cultivate that within players, and in our case, we're just trying to provide examples that somebody can look at and decide, hey, what would I have done in that situation type thing? And John, you know, note with all of the thousands of games you've called over time, you've no doubt seen all of these examples of, you know, we were talking about the Patriots, you know, 28-3 down, coming back. But you've seen that kind of resilience and what it takes from peer leadership, that positive peer leadership, to bring out the best in others.
Let me bring Jerry Boots into this because just this season, Boots, the very first game we did was Middletown Coventry.
Yep.
And I can vividly remember Brandon Martin being knocked to the ground going in for a layup.
Yep.
And a Middletown Islander there to help pick him up and to give a little
Well,
swat.
we
on the
made a
back.
comment about it on the
Yep.
on the air, and you know what? We saw a lot of that this year, specifically, obviously, basketball just finishing. We saw a lot of it this year amongst a lot of the teams, even the ones that got in a little tussle here and there, the EWG battles that they had over the last few weeks. You know, going to the state finals, they were right there picking up their opponent, and I was like, "Wow, this is something new." You know, you don't see this, and I think I made the comment about why can't pro athletes do this? They want to be put on pedestals, or even if they don't ask to be put on a pedestal, they're still there. They're still in the limelight. These NBA players specifically, why aren't they setting an example to go over there and have Jaylen Brown pick up LeBron James or something like that if he falls?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
We see it occasionally. The thing that the pushback always is that, you know, there's some people who think that means they're not as competitive as they should be. I think it's nonsense.
I agree.
You know, some people do believe that. What do you see?
Yeah, that's a tough one, Betsy, you know,
Yeah.
because Larry Bird never helped anyone up. Magic Johnson didn't help anyone up.
Well,
Kareem never helped anyone up.
no, they were
So-
battling
so
with
my-
Bill Lambert underneath the basket.
No, but that's
Pushing him.
different. That's a little extreme. But my point is that some of these athletes, we're competing. And I just watched something about Roger Clemens in the All-Star game. He wouldn't talk to any of the batters on the American side because he wanted to continue to have that intimidation factor. So, like, I can understand as an athlete, you still don't want to bridge that gap. I think sometimes you watch these sports and there's a competitive edge taken out of it because they're all buddies and they play and everyone jumps team to team to team, and you know that.
You think that affects the competitiveness? Because I think I know I was a real good athlete, but I played harder against people. I mean, I didn't get
I
an
don't
inch
know.
to somebody but
It's noticeable. I can't. I don't know, but it's noticeable when you see those athletes. You know, yeah, they don't tackle as much that hard. It's just so weird. You see it. I see it as a person who coached it. I see it kind of changing a little bit. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. You can be competitive and still have boundaries. We're friends after the game, but during the game, I'm not going to pick you up. I'm not going to help you out. We're trying to. It's like we see a big thing with the catchers in the world's the
World
World
Baseball Classic.
right? They're not fist bumping their teammates who come up to bat, and the catchers are saying, well, "I don't want pine tar on," right? So it's a bad look, right? Your friend you play with goes to shake your hand before he steps into the box, and you're not shaking their hand. Is it because of the pine tar? And if I'm batting, am I trying to do that just to get them and put the pine? So maybe there is some truth to why they're not doing it, but it looks bad because kids are watching this. And
now, do you think there's a difference on level, like high school, or is that a mindset that you just don't want to go there? Because it's interesting.
no, geez, I don't know. It's a tough one because I'm not that far removed from the coaching. So if we're playing our rival, you can play fair It's okay if you pick them up. I'm okay. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
But
I'm just going to ask you that.
no, I'm not. No, I wouldn't say anything. But it is what it is. But you know, I have a hard time even saying this how I feel about this.
I get it. I get it. But one of the reasons that I think this whole gamesmanship, and I was mentioned before we went on the air, I've wanted to write a book about gamesmanship for a long time. I still do. I just think it's a fascinating area. What tactics are true to the sport and what tactics really go outside the boundaries. I mean, I think most of us all agree intent to injure, right? That is
Terrible.
clearly out of bounds. But there are a lot of things that could be done. I was mentioning, medical timeouts in tennis that are used to break momentum, have nothing to do with being injured. That's, to me, inherently wrong because the sport is not measuring that.
Right.
But they're simple things. For instance, you're up 1-0 in a soccer game. Do you teach kids at high school or even younger to purposely delay getting the ball into play?
Right.
I think that's an interesting one. The game really isn't designed to measure that. That, to me, is different than putting the ball in play and trying to delay on the field, because in that case, you're utilizing ability on the field,
Right.
purposely delaying it. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think it's an interesting area. And at what age, do you look at doing that? We've seen football at a college level, certainly at pro, where somebody had, delayed on the field trying to,
Buffalo
get a
Bills.
breather.
But that's how teams decided to attack the Buffalo Bills in that running gun, Kelly gun offense.
Yeah.
They would fake injuries
Yeah.
just to stop the Bills and their momentum.
Right.
And that was really
And
what we
you
saw.
don't. I think that's an area you don't want that, right?
No.
What have you seen?
I'm going back to the comment that was made earlier about
It's a lot.
sportsmanship and integrity versus hard competition. And at what juncture do you split that melding? You want to teach sportsmanship at a young age. You want to teach integrity at all ages. You want to teach healthy and tough competition. And where do you separate the three? I think gamesmanship comes into play there.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure that there's an answer.
Yeah. I think, age and level matters too. Hidden ball trick, you wouldn't be doing that. Real young kids, obviously, they wouldn't even understand, that type. But something as, are you putting winning ahead of integrity?
That's my point.
So in a situation, for instance, you've got a team rule, and could be academics, could be anything, but you got a team rule, and your best player violates that rule, and the rule is you're going to sit the next game. The next game is your championship game. You're going to sit that best player. Now, when you do, you're not just hurting that player; you're also
Yes.
hurting the team.
Right.
That
So,
And that
right.
becomes
So
an issue.
now,
that's just
but I think as a coach, you need to know when you put that rule in
exactly.
that is a potential. So maybe that's not a rule that you want to be hard and fast,
Exactly.
and you want situational. Marcus Giannetto, Air National Guard leadership speaker, he told a really good story of, if you show up late, and this was for, I think it was the sport he was coaching. Trying to remember which sport it was. Doesn't really matter. If you show up late, you run a lap for every minute you're late. Okay. So as he described it, you have a player shows up late. He's 15 minutes. That's 15 laps, whatever. Another girl shows up late. And he said, "Oh, good. Why don't you fit right in here and blah, blah, get warmed up." And the players could go, "Wait a minute. You treated this player this way and this. Well, the difference is the first player cheated on a test and was delayed after school to talk to the teacher and so on. The second one, her father had been in an accident. She had called the coach to let him know she'd be late.
Right.
All right. So if you're looking outside in, you're saying, well, you're not applying you're applying the rule, but you're also taking circumstances into effect.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. So, and as he said, the girls on my team knew there had to be an explanation because it's going to be equally applied, but it may not be exactly the same situations.
Yeah, we had similar situations where it wasn't a whole game, but the students, all the athletes knew you don't miss, and we had kids miss, and it was because, so here's the line, we still held true. The athletes still sat for the first quarter in a playoff game, and we're all looking at the clock, holding the kid, looking at the clock, and then throwing him in as soon as he could. But the question is that there are some absences that are unavoidable. If your family goes on a trip,
right,
and now you're expected to be on that family trip, is that student, should they be held accountable for a family decision? And that was a tough conversation.
That's where you can have, as they've had, God, family, your sport in that order type thing, right? That you're smiling. No,
I know you're right. I mean, that's always a joke. It's I can't do the fingers. If someone did it, it was like football, family.
God, family, school.
Yeah, but it was backwards, and they did it backwards, so you got the idea of it. But we've had those situations, and we've all had situations where the opposite held true. And I had more of a problem with this, where the student wasn't training, wasn't doing what they were supposed to do, but because them competing would help the team, like that concept is kind of cheesy pull, really, because now you're using that to run someone to win, and and they've done that, and I've had a problem with that more than the student that missed because their family went on a trip.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that if you talk to kids, athletes, the other kids who come every day, they don't want to win that way.
Right.
That's the other part.
Yeah.
They'd rather. I've had this conversation. Would you want to see player A miss practice but show up, win their event, and then therefore win the championship? Yeah. And for a true diehard student who goes every day and punches the clock every day, their answer is no.
Yeah.
Because they're not committed.
Yeah.
They're just using them for their athletic ability. I'm here. I'm losing me. I work hard. So it's an interesting. So it's really the coach wants to win more than what's best for the team.
But I defend coaches a little bit this way, and that is that yes, if you're a coach, you're competitive, but they're also, that's what's being valued by parents. Parents want to win. I mean, I think kids, for instance, understand playing time. Certainly high school, they understand playing time. They understand a kid may be, I remember at a younger age, one of our sons, pretty good soccer player, wanted more playing time. The coach doesn't like me. And I said, well, what do you want to do about it? And we talked this over and go to the coach. What do I need to do to get more playing time? And as the coach should have an answer for every player on the team.
Yeah.
And if the player does it, you ought to get more playing time.
Right.
The funny thing about it is my son did exactly what he was supposed to do, played really well. The coach brought it up at halftime and forgot to play him in the second half. and it wasn't intentional, I'm sure. But, youth coaches, and this was younger ages, I know, U10, whatever. But, you get caught up and you forget who's played, who hasn't, and so forth. But putting out that carrot out there is important. And the thing I worry about at really younger levels is if you are prioritizing winning ahead of development. What you inevitably have is you got all the early developers. So the early developers, the kids that are, a little bit bigger, faster, more athletic, more agility, so forth, just put together. Early developer, they get all the playing time. So they become pitcher, catcher, shortstop, maybe center fielder. But if they just get by on that early advantage and they don't keep working hard, when the other kids catch up, which a lot of them do, they're just later developing. Those early developers don't have the resilience. Well, suddenly, we had one particular case. Kid was big for his age. He won every MVP tournament player for every tournament they were in. But he was lazy. And he didn't play defense. Why? Because he could just be lazy and then block it from behind. So, well, that kid tapped out at 6'3", needed to be able to play out of the guard spot, but because his work ethic was so awful, and adults kept rewarding him because he scored a lot of points and rebounds, but had terrible work ethic. I don't blame the kid. I blame the adults.
Yep.
And that kid never played varsity basketball. And because the team would, more often than not, if they didn't have a really easy fast break, they'd walk the ball up and then give it to this kid. All the other kids lost opportunities to really develop their game. So what did you? Right. So is anybody going to remember years from now what their fifth grade travel team's record was? I mean, so it's really about, to me, it's about, hey, the skills that you can take from one season to the next, the knowledge, the values, and what are your habits, right? So, hey, try to improve, be better today than you were yesterday. Don't compare yourself so much to somebody else. Learn from them. Mm-hmm. And that helps the kid who's the best on the team and the kid who's the worst, who's, I'll never be any good. Just get incrementally better every day. My life, my own target.
Absolutely.
It's John Wooden stuff, right?
Right. No, it certainly is.
I want to get back to,
No, that's right.
I want to get back to coaching and dealing with the unanticipated situations where you as a coach have to look at yourself and say, what is the intended message to the person who has broken a rule or whatever?
Yeah.
And the consequences of that decision and that rule of the other 14, 15 members of the team.
Yeah.
I can remember several times as a coach, coaching Legion baseball of all things, where I needed to make sure that the message was clear enough for the violator as it was to the other 14 to 15.
And that's culture, true, right? That's important to culture.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That you want for your program. Yeah.
John, do we have to pay bills?
We do have to pay bills.
Okay, so we're going to pay bills.
That's because I'm yakking too much.
No, I got a lot to say. I got other things.
Listen, this is going to be an over an hour show. So I'm not worried
It was
about
going to be
that.
Mike and Chuck, and I'm going to sit back and just.
I'm having the best time. I'm not even telling you when.
Boots and I will be the judge and jury on this one.
Yeah, we just
Chuck Wilson is our guest here on 321 King County Sports Talk. We will be back with more talk, and lots of it, after these words.
Welcome to Dan's Place, Rhode Island's #1 stop for amazing food, drinks, and live entertainment. Dan's Place offers a fantastic selection of unique menu items, including pizzas, pasta, steaks, and seafood. Here's what our customers have to say: a masterpiece on a crust. Watch your favorite New England teams on one of Dan's 4 big screen TVs. Looking for a great place to meet? Try Dan's Place.
I'm Dan from Dan's Place, where your only regret is not coming in sooner.
Your home, your family, your legacy. They deserve the highest level of protection. At Lathrop Insurance, we design tailored programs for coastal homes, secondary properties, and high-value assets, giving you peace of mind no matter where life takes you. We're honored to protect families in Rhode Island with personalized care and expert guidance. Lathrop Insurance, protecting the life you've worked so hard to build.
I'm Johnny Mack, General Manager here at Sandy Motors, and since 1988 we've been making car buying wicked easy for Rhode Islanders. So come with me and let's go see how wicked easy we make it when car buying. From cars, trucks, and SUVs, Sandy Motors has the selection you want at the price you want. Get approved now and see all our inventory at sandymotors.com. Every vehicle in certified condition for you to drive for many years to come. Sandy Motors, we're making car buying is wicked easy.
Since 1974, Bill's Place has been serving up great times and unforgettable food. From family celebrations to post-game meals, it's the spot Kent County calls home, right on Main Street in West Warwick. Bill's Place has been part of the community for over 50 years, and it just keeps getting better. Come see what everyone's been raving about. For takeout, call 401-828-2300 or visit us online at billsplaceri.com. Bill's Place, where tradition meets great taste.
Hi, I'm Greg Dantis, the broker-owner at Rhode Island Real Estate Services. And since we opened our doors in 2012, supporting youth and community programs has been at the core of our mission. Selling Rhode Island means more than selling houses. It means supporting communities, putting people over profit. We service all of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and also parts of Connecticut. We're proud to support the communities that support us. You can contact us anytime at 401-885-5400 or visit us on the web, 401sold.com.
Your home, your family, your legacy. They deserve the highest level of protection. At Lathrop Insurance, we design tailored programs for coastal homes, secondary properties, and high-value assets, giving you peace of mind no matter where life takes you. We're honored to protect families in Rhode Island with personalized care and expert guidance. Lathrop Insurance, protecting the life you've worked so hard to build.
Selling Rhode Island means more than selling houses. It means supporting communities, putting people over profit. We service all of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and also parts of Connecticut. We're proud to support the communities that support us. You can contact us anytime at 401-885-5400 or visit us on the web, 401sold.com.
Manager on it.
Hi, I'm Sean with Easy Does It Moving and More. Whether it's local or long distance, we've got you covered. We even help with unpacking and secure storage when you need it.
From start to finish, Easy Does It Moving and More makes sure that all of your belongings get there safely. Make your move easy and call 401-545-6078 today.
Easy Does It Moving and More, because moving shouldn't be stressful. It should be easy.
Hates all that.
You're back.
That's
Back at Mr. J's Havana Cigar Lounge in Coventry with Mike Green, Johnny Boots, and our very special guest, Chuck Wilson. So let's get back to Evenfield just a little bit.
Sure.
What's next? Where are you now? What are you anticipating to do in the coming days, months?
We think that Evenfield can grow, and that Evenfield Honors can be a big part of this. We've looked at two things. We had a model. I thought it was a pretty good model. 35-page. I'm a real research guy, as you know, so I had really researched a lot. And we had a pilot project with the Boys and Girls Club of Pawtucket. And Jim Hoyt, who retired a short time ago, but they were very enthusiastic. And this would have instituted an on-the-ground program where we would have been able to work with coaches, work with parents on just overall being able to improve the youth sports experience, right? And a lot of it had to do with, I'm a big proponent of autonomy supportive coaching, which, it's got this big fancy name and stuff, but basically what it is a form of coaching. It's structured, it's coach created climate, and it's intrinsically motivating. In other words, there's more two-way feedback, and it's relationship-focused instruction. And what it does is it really motivates kids to be the best version of themselves, and through incremental improvement, and being able to listen to the kids. One of the things you see coaches do at the youth level, young kids I'm talking, preteen, is that a kid makes a mistake and you yell at the kid in front of his peers, and the kid isn't taking in anything that you're correcting them. All they're thinking about is, I'm being embarrassed in front of my friends. And we'll just sort of say, when a kid makes it, let's find out what the kid's thinking. Because that's a great starting point. They may know exactly what they did wrong and what they might do differently next time, but let's find out why. Because if you don't know why, then that fear of failure gets in, and now instead of the kid trying, the kid's trying not to make a mistake. And Mike, if you've got kids that are more concerned about making a mistake than making a play, you're not sure. They're not going to be able to get better and to use mistakes as a way to get better. I mean, that Michael Jordan commercial from many years ago, about I've been entrusted to take the last shot in the game, and I've missed that shot 26 times. I have failed over and over and over again, and that's why I succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just
you want kids to want the ball in a key situation.
Yeah.
That's when my kids we have 3 boys. I just wanted them, when they played sports, I wanted them to want the ball, to be in that situation, whether it comes through well or it doesn't. But I wanted them to have the confidence to want to be in that moment. Right?
And you want the coach to feel like, I want that kid to have the ball. In other words, if the coach has faith in you, that speaks volumes, because that's just going to ultimately intrinsically make you feel good about it and build your confidence. I think what we were talking about earlier about the winning right away at the youth level. I think sometimes that's the ceiling of some of these coaches. They can't develop. They're people who the community's looking for a coach, and so. They put someone in there.
Don't we need that's
we
where the
need more
training comes
coaches,
in, right?
And that's why we need the training, because
Yeah.
I think sometimes they're doing the best with the tools that they have as an athlete, or maybe they learned.
Yeah.
Like anyone that's my age, if they're starting out, they learned from a coach that was a yeller and a screamer. And I think that changes now. I think there's less of guys like me.
Were you a yeller or a screamer?
I was. I think my guys would tell you that. It's like the kids I've coached over the years.
Sure.
But I think they also say that they always felt like I believed in them. And I always had, I always took someone as a challenge to take our player and put it against their best player, and then work with that kid and build his confidence.
But you also praise players when they do
all the
it right,
time. Oh my goodness, yeah. And I think
it's like parents, you want to
that.
catch the kids doing something right,
and tell them why they did it. So,
absolutely.
Coach Chesney, who's down at UCLA now, he has a clinic, and he had spoken once, and Bob, I've known Bob for years, and he said that, when you tell an athlete good job, tell them why. And my daughter's like that. If you say good job and you don't tell her why, she just thinks you're just giving her platitudes. And it doesn't really matter. It's like, I played bad. Tell me why. Tell me what I did was well.
The difference between positive reinforcement and empty positive reinforcement.
Yeah, and so good athletes. But I think with coach training, to train these young coaches, because they're young parents, they might not be in education. I think that's a piece of it. I think not every educator makes a great coach, and vice versa. But I think that as a person who's in education for a long time, we went to school, we worked with kids. Like, we work with all age kids. But you don't go into math class and scream at a kid like you would at halftime. Right. So how do you because we're all on the same goal. And I tell kids all the time in school, our goal is to get you to graduate to be the best person you can be. That's the same message as an athlete on a team. Our goal is for you to be successful, for us to win, and you to grow up to be. I've coached on great teams, and they always say, what's the best team? And I'm plagiarizing this. But I always answer, I'll tell you how good they were when they come back as men, come back as fathers, come back as husbands, or business people. If they're good people, then that was a good team and we did our job. Because we always had the best athletes, fortunately, and we won. But there's more to it, and there's more character development, and we were able to do that. We have great kids that leave and come back and are very thankful and grateful we were the coaches.
And that's the real joy of coaching. When they come back, they ask you advice, or they want to share special moments in their lives with you. And how awesome is that?
I'm still waiting. I got a guy that just signed for like $48 million, and I'm waiting for him to say, Coach, I know your car's busted up. But so he signed for a lot of money.
Really?
Oh yeah, for the Raiders. Signed for a lot of money.
I did see that the other day. I did see
which is awesome for his family. But but not everyone's a queen.
Mike Green, who?
Yeah, I know. He would. So I always enjoyed kids that came back and said, you made football fun.
Yeah.
You made it fun. And I think that was my goal at some point. I loved going to practice. I loved it. I didn't like the late nights and looking at film and practice plans, but when I had I loved it. It was like the best part of my day was going to football practice and just, just being able to let loose and be fun. And I think that came across. I was intense, but I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed what I did, and I think I enjoy what I do now. And kids, some teacher goes, characterize Mr. Green, and they said positive, happy, and I was like, and I'm miserable most of the time. True, right? I'm miserable. My wife would say I'm awful, right?
That's your wife,
yeah, but in that field, whether it's the classroom, the hallways, and on the field, I was always positive. This is what I wanted to do. How could I ever be mad or upset or angry doing something I love to do?
Yeah.
That's so I never had a bad day coaching. We had bad practices, but I never left going, that was.
It's funny. Mike says this, and I've learned this from Mike doing football games with him. Now it's going to be 6 years you've been with us now.
Wow.
6 years he's been our color analyst, and we've told you that you're one of the by far the best color analysts we have in this area for local sports. You know the game, you know the players, you're attached, but your intensity comes through. Listen me out. Your intensity comes through, but not in a negative way. You are always positive when you're calling it or analyzing a play on the field from a player. You may point out what he did wrong, but it's not a negative type of thing. It's like you're still doing that constructive criticism type of thing and things like that. You may be more, how can I say this? You may be harder on the coach. Why do you call that play?
Oh, no, I'm way harder.
Oh, I know you are. You've done it. We've sat in the booth and you coach. Why are you doing this? Why do you do that? But from a player standpoint, you are by far, and I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything like that. It's just like when you're talking about being a coach, that transitions into the broadcast booth, and I see it, and that's what makes you a good analyst. We had the same thing out of Rich Pendola the other night when his first basketball game the other night. EWG, the head coach of Coventry Boys, he came and did a game with us. Never did broadcasting before, so he just spoke as if he's speaking to a bunch of guys at a bar talking about a basketball game.
That's what made it good.
Exactly, and it really did. But he had nothing negative to say about a player. Maybe a bad play or, poor shot choice or anything like that. But I find that coaches who do these games with kids or coach kids and they come into the broadcast booth to do kids' games, and that's primarily what John and I do. We do the high school, and we love it. I do. But you guys coming in gives a different perspective. And what you're saying about coaching and having a positive attitude and, not being that yeller or screamer to the point where you're, putting a kid down.
No, I
just find Rich Pendola, even Rich Grenier, he's come in and done that a few times with us. And these kids and these coaches that, what's calling you now? In the middle of the show.
Fame move right
Oh, Hall of Fame move.
I shut my phone off, by the way.
Yeah. That's why you're a Hall of Fame coach.
I thought I did too.
But no, I'm just saying, these coaches that come in to you, Rich Pendola, Rich Grenier, some of the coaches that we've had come in, and trust me, we've had some coaches come in that are terrible. And I've told them that. Like, he can't come back. Yeah. I just see it. I see the positive attitude when these kids, and if they go back and watch these games or listen to these games and hear you or Rich Grenier say, I think that's another positive thing. Trust me, I do.
I hear that when I go to school. They hear.
I see the bumps in the YouTube channel from a Friday night game at like 50 views. By Monday, we're up to 300 views because they're all watching it and stuff like that.
I think Even Field, the programs like Even Field and the Rhode Island Scholastic League coaching certifications, there is an effort. We need to coach the coaches to be great role models for these young kids. And I think each little sport is their own fiefdom, and that can be dangerous sometimes, even though I like the fact, every organization is doing things for their own needs, their own ends, and sometimes there's not a collective, thought or philosophy behind what they're looking for in a coach and what's important. I think I'd love to see that throughout Rhode Island. So this is what our youth coaches need to be, and that's important because whether it's football, basketball, any other sport at the youth level, because that's where you're changing those kids' mindsets for good or bad. That's where this is happening.
I sent the link to the show to that coach from Scituate football.
Right.
I said you gotta watch the show. You gotta listen to Chuck. You gotta listen to you talk about sportsmanship. And I said that to my daughter. I say, send this to your boyfriend, and just so that he gets a feel for it. And I actually sent it to Macy too. coach at, she's on the college level coaching cheerleading, but she's still a coach at Bryant. Still can take some sportsmanship and things like that, and
the unfortunate thing about sportsmanship is the awards often go to the lovable losers, and there's this idea that sportsmanship somehow, it's interesting. We don't even use the word sportsmanship in describing even field honors because it's inherent. I mean, if you're like, I use the phrase competitive integrity, and because that to me, we're talking about competition now, okay? On the preteen, I really think it ought to be more focused, more child-driven, or child-focused rather than adult-driven.
Yep.
Sometimes the adults get in the way. Well-meaning as they often are, often the kids would rather just play by themselves, But when it comes to the older groups, let the coaches coach. The parents if we could just get the parents to just stay out of it, be supportive, let the coaches do their jobs. Because when parents are yelling stuff in the stands that are diametrically opposed to what the coaches just told them, that's really, and the fact that parents are getting on youth umpires and on we've lost 50,000 officials across the country. Why would they put up with the abuse they get from fans?
Yeah.
What do you think of that bill that's trying to be passed at the State House?
Well, the thing about it is that those rules are actually in place.
If you assault anyone,
But it's a misdemeanor. Not a felony.
It's like so many laws. They're well-intentioned. You just have to make sure that there aren't going to be unintended consequences the way that it's written. It matters how these things are written because you're dealing with the law.
Sure.
But conceptually, absolutely. And we really encourage, the parents to look at the bigger picture. Really, the outcome of today's game is not going to be the end all.
Yeah.
What did you take away from this experience? How can you get better? And the ability to bring out the best in other people is an unbelievable skill. You go home tonight and ask your son or daughter who in their life, and you can ask younger kids, who do they truly trust? Not just friends, who do you truly trust? Usually a short list, and you'd be amazed when you go to a class, very often kids are coming up with the same name, maybe a couple. Why? That's character.
Yeah.
And the character is what's going to take you through, because Michael backed me up. John, really, thousands and thousands of games you've called. Johnny, seen it. The further that you advance in your sport, the more or the narrower are the differences in physical ability. It's all about those intangibles that you control. You control, channeling your emotions. You control the effort. I call it effort and attitude. I'm big on effort and attitude. With any teacher, if your child exhibits great effort on a subject and has a really good attitude, there isn't a teacher out there that won't help you. But they get frustrated, coaches and teachers, with kids who have a lousy attitude and think everything ought to be handed to them. They think they ought to be starting. They don't even try in practice. Like, get a grip. So you think you're going to go through life and you're not going to have to work at anything?
Yeah.
At what
How am I doing?
Very well.
I know. Fun. I get on it. I'll get on it.
At what point do finances cloud judgment?
Yeah, and you're thinking in what sense?
I'm thinking of the financial investment that parents have to make to further their child's athleticism.
Yeah. I mean, the amount of money that's being spent on travel sports right now is crazy. Look, I get some negative feedback. It's fine. This is what I believe. The idea that you feel that you have to travel hundreds of miles with kids preteen in order to get good competition, to me, is crazy. I have a real close friend of mine, and his nephew is traveling all over the Midwest, from Michigan to Colorado and so forth. Kid's 9 years old. He's playing 60 hockey games.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, now he really enjoys playing, but you wonder what 50% of overuse injuries in youth sports are tied to playing one sport year round. You're not using different muscle groups. And the other thing is mental burnout.
Yes. Yeah, that's a burn. Yeah.
Right? I mean, early specialization. Okay, you have a few sports. Tennis, you have to start early if you're going to specialize. Swimming and diving, gymnastics, but almost all the other ones. It used to be we all wanted to have 3-sport, And as Pete Brock on our board, former Patriot, he talks about when he basketball, it really helped him as an offensive lineman because you're back to the basket and the idea is to keep somebody in front of you, moving your feet, so on. Very similar basketball and offensive line and so on. And one sport helps another type thing. I love youth sports. I wasn't a very good athlete, but I absolutely loved to play. I learned so much from it. I just want more kids to experience what it's like to be part of a team, even for the kids that aren't the stars. You don't have to be a star to get a lot of really good things out of it. And, that perseverance, that resilience part of it, going through life, learning how to get back up after you get knocked down, boy, that's important.
And that, and you were talking about parents in the stands. And I think it goes beyond that. It's the parents on the car ride home. It's the parents at the dinner table.
Yeah.
Those are the conversations you can't hear.
Yep.
If you're complaining in the stands and yelling, we know where you're coming from.
Yeah.
It's that car ride home where they're talking bad about the coach.
That's a good point.
At the dinner table, that coach doesn't know what they're talking about. The seed of doubt is planted in there.
How many kids don't want to go home with their parents at the end of the
because
day?
they know they're going to hear it.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of kids, because that's going to be a tough car ride home.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly.
We just got to remember what it's
so
like to be that age, right?
We never did that. We never played a sport like this, travel. We never did this. It's never been a monetary thing for us. We made decisions with my daughter to pick it's a necessary evil. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
In some sports, you're not getting recruited. If your end game is to play at the next level, and that's the end game. So your friend who's 9, what's the end game here? So my daughter at a young age, playing the first travel, said, well, I want to play in college. That was her goal. She wrote, and it was great. Her travel coach made the kids all write their goals.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really a good idea, good strategy. And that always just set everything we did for that was with that in sight.
But the impetus came from your daughter.
Yes, we never did.
If you're the parent,
that wasn't our choice.
If you're the parent and you're the one that's constantly trying to get your kids to go out and practice, right? That's not it. The passion has to come from the kid.
It did.
Now they may pick that up from their parents, who are passionate about a sport, but it's got to come from within, right?
And she reminds us of that because she says, "Listen, I wanted to do this. I came to you and asked you when I was little. I wanted to play,
Yeah.
and it made it easy, And we did all those. We didn't do the big money travel places, the $20,000 to wear a T-shirt,
Right.
Because if you're spending over $20,000 a summer,
Right.
between flights and hotel, then lessons, just to go to a Division
And what
III,
does
you
that
put them
do?
in anyways.
And what does that do to the family dynamic? That's the other issue.
You're
You
putting
got
them-
parents who separated. You're not together. You're not eating meals
Oh, it's not
together.
a team.
There's a lot of loss. But I loved your earlier comment because we call it bumper sticker coaching. Hey, great job. Move the ball.
Yeah.
All these generic praise.
Yeah.
If it's not specific, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because it's just so true, right, John? It's got to be specific. I mean, kids respond best to instruction that is specific, patient, and supportive. And that, by the way, includes elite. I mean, it's an amazing thing that even elite athletes respond to criticism that is instructive rather than just kind of punitive. It works better, and it makes sense that it does. I was a big fan of the late Dean Smith, and he talked about play hard, play together, play smart. That's everything.
Mm-hmm.
And all three of those things have nothing to do with talent.
No.
Right? Play hard, play together, right? Team first, play smart. And we can help all of our kids to play smarter. Help your kids to learn what every position does, what their role is. Because, I've seen little kids in basketball that'll go set a screen in the middle of nowhere because that's what they didn't understand why they were setting a pick. That's where it was in the court in practice. Yeah. So, right? So you said earlier, Mike, explaining why is a big thing. What did you do, John, as far as, what did you emphasize with the teams you coached?
Do the right thing first. The 4 words that meant everything was do the right thing.
Yeah.
Which is better preparation, better understanding, better knowledge, make yourself a better player. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
Make yourself a better athlete.
Yeah.
But do it yourself. Because you are accountable for your actions.
Yeah.
What happens on the field.
Yeah. How about you, Johnny? You have any words of experience to add in?
I was never a coach, but I was a parent of 2 daughters who danced competitively. My youngest went on to cheer, varsity high school, went on to be a URI cheerleader, captain of the URI cheerleaders her senior year. As soon as she got out of cheerleading performing, she became a coach.
Yeah.
And she's also a 3rd grade teacher where Mike teaches in West Warwick. So I sent this to her too. I wanted her to see the show and about sportsmanship and stuff like that. But I've seen all aspects of high school, college. Now she's a coach. And I go watch Bryant games, and I'll go watch the showcases before they go down. I've been to those national cheerleading tournaments. I don't know. I just think I like your approach to it, and I see that in cheerleading. I don't see the yelling and the screaming type of thing. It's a different aspect for me. It wasn't, it's competitively, but it's not competitive against somebody like a baseball or a basketball or a football. They're out there performing, they do their job, they come off, they wait to get scored upon, what the score is. But I do see some intense coaches, don't get me wrong. I went to Wide World of Sports down at Disney for the Nationals, and you're seeing the Tennessees, you're seeing the Georgia Bulldogs cheerleading team. They come in with 5 buses that just say Georgia Bulldogs. So there's some intensity, don't get me wrong, but nothing like that up here.
See, and some people look at the approach we're trying to take with Evenfield and think that we're soft and you're not being demanding. The thing is, I believe you can be as demanding as you want to be for the things the kids control. They don't control outcomes, and they will make physical mistakes and stuff.
Sure.
But you can hold them accountable for their effort, for their attitude, communication, channeling their emotions. There are a lot of things within a kid's control, and these attributes, are life skills.
Yeah. Doesn't that make it more challenging?
What's that?
The fact that you're teaching those intangibles of the workplace, intangibles of the field.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that this is a huge benefit when kids can see that everybody responds a little bit differently, and finding ways on a team to be able to encourage your teammates is really important. I mean, look,
He's on camera.
I mean, mental toughness isn't about being able to be screamed at by a coach, at age 10. It's the ability to play hard and encourage your team when you're down 3-4 touchdowns in the 4th quarter. Are you still playing hard? Are you encouraging your teammates, and you're not pointing fingers? My brother in the Cape, who Coach Baseball called it no transfers of blame. No TOBs. If you make a mistake, throw a few blades of grass up in the air, come into the dugout. No throwing bats, no throwing gloves, no apologizing. The play is over and done with. That next ball may be hit to you.
Right.
It's
Chuck, will you stick in another 15 minutes, okay?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Sure.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back.
Couldn't go wrong.
Ben gave me the thumbs up.
Oh,
Go as
that's
long as we want. We can talk all day. But just saying, this is great radio, great television. So he says, as long as you want.
We'll be back for Mr. J.
You don't have to go to a basketball game, do you?
No, I do not.
Thank God.
Right. We're all coming back with more with Chuck in a moment.
Welcome to Dan's Place, Rhode Island's #1 stop for amazing food, drinks, and live entertainment. Dan's Place offers a fantastic selection of unique menu items, including pizzas, pasta, steaks, and seafood. Here's what our customers have to say: a masterpiece on a crust. Watch your favorite New England teams on one of Dan's 4 big screen TVs. Looking for a great place to meet? Try Dan's Place.
I'm Dan from Dan's Place, where your only regret is not coming in sooner.
I'm Johnny Mack, General Manager here at Sandy Motors, and since 1988, we've been making car buying wicked easy for Rhode Islanders. So come with me and let's go see how wicked easy we make it when car buying. From cars, trucks, and SUVs, Sandy Motors has the selection you want at the price you want. Get approved now and see all our inventory at sandymotors.com. Every vehicle in certified condition for you to drive for many years to come. Sandy Motors, we're making car buying is wicked easy.
Since 1974, Bill's Place has been serving up great times and unforgettable food. From family celebrations to post-game meals, it's the spot Kent County calls home, right on Main Street in West Warwick. Bill's Place has been part of the community for over 50 years, and it just keeps getting better. Come see what everyone's been raving about. For takeout, call 401-828-2300 or visit us online at billsplaceri.com. Bill's Place, where tradition meets great taste.
Hi, this is Dan from Lathrop Insurance. Here in Rhode Island, we take pride in taking care of our own. At Lathrop Insurance, we have spent 86 years helping families and businesses protect what matters most. Whether it's your home, your business, or the legacy you're building, our team is here to provide peace of mind through customized insurance solutions. We're proud to support high school sports across Rhode Island because when our community grows stronger, we all win. Lathrop Insurance. Personalized protection, local expertise. Visit lathropinsurance.com to see how we can protect what matters most to you.
Hi, I'm Sean with Easy Does It Moving and More. Whether it's local or long distance, we've got you covered. We even help with unpacking and secure storage when you need it.
From start to finish, Easy Does It Moving and More makes sure that all of your belongings get there safely. Make your move easy and call 401-545-6078 today.
Easy Does It Moving and More, because moving shouldn't be stressful. It should be easy.
We've told you for years that AJ's Restaurant is Kent County's go-to spot for great breakfast, lunch, and takeout too at 828-4160. And now you'll find more parking, mere steps from the back of the building to AJ's front doors. AJ's, plenty of those world-famous home fries, plenty of parking, and as always, popular for breakfast, popular for lunch. 1365 Main Street, West Warwick.
Hi, I'm Greg Dantis, the broker owner at Rhode Island Real Estate Services. And since we opened our doors in 2012, supporting youth and community programs has been at the core of our mission. Selling Rhode Island means more than selling houses. It means supporting communities, putting people over profit. We service all of Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and also parts of Connecticut. We're proud to support the communities that support us. You can contact us anytime at 401-885-5400 or visit us on the web, 401sold.com.
Welcome to Dan's Place, Rhode Island's #1 stop for amazing food, drinks, and live entertainment. Dan's Place offers a fantastic selection of unique menu items, including pizzas, pasta, steaks, and seafood. Here's what our customers have to say: a masterpiece on a crust. Watch your favorite New England teams on one of Dan's 4 big screen TVs. Looking for a great place to meet? Try Dan's Place.
I'm Dan from Dan's Place, where your only regret is not coming in sooner.
1985. You're back.
How about that, huh? That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, we had fun.
Awesome.
I was, how old was I?
14.
14 when I started with him. Hey, you talked about being in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
How did I start in radio? What did I do?
Shoveling snow.
Shoveling snow at WKRI for $10, and then hanging around and being a nuisance
You had
14-year-old.
$10 for that?
Oh, Jane Brown took good care of me. $10. That was big money back in '84.
What did I make for calling a game?
My first job, I made $1.75 an hour.
I remember my first paycheck getting from WKRI, $3.24 an
Jane
hour.
Brown? Is that a Dr. Brown?
No, different Brown.
You know that lady?
Yeah,
There.
I know she is. Yeah, so that was my introduction to radio, shoveling snow and then being a nuisance to the staff.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're talking about this though. It's fun.
Oh,
Why not?
That's
So far, yeah.
Oh, nice glasses screen.
Can't see without.
Yeah, we're back. Who cares?
It's just open field, uneven field.
No.
So can you pronounce the new name of the program now?
Do you want to?
You go ahead. It's its size.
We will be, as of April 1st, I believe.
April
correct?
1st.
We will be changing the name of this show.
To the Mike Green Show? Oh, it was April 1st. It's a joke.
Good joke. Yeah. Maybe you'll have Ben make you one.
To Settling the Score. We will be, I guess, reusing something that we did way
Oh,
back.
you want to do Kaleidoscope? I want to do Talk of the Town. Gee, imagine where'd those titles come from?
Yeah, it came from this mind when it was a more fertile mind.
In 1975, right?
So, yeah, 73, I believe,
73.
because I was still in school at the time. So, yeah, we'll be changing the name to Settling the Score.
More announcements coming later.
The name will change, but the personnel will not.
Now, Green, we're keeping you. You're in. You got a picture now. You're
I'm
on.
gonna retire.
You saw the new logo. We put you on a soapbox. You stand
So
above
it's taller.
everybody.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You can AI that. right?
No, we did AI. What do you think? We
Make you
did.
taller?
We did make you tall.
What sports did you play, Mike?
So football and track, and baseball. I grew up playing baseball like everyone probably, and basketball was not good at basketball, and certainly not good. And I couldn't skate to save my life.
Yeah.
So we grew up in Providence, and where I grew up in Providence, we had a field right at the end of my street. I lived on a dead end street. There was a big baseball field. So in the summer, if you found a ball, a broken bat, my dad fixed the bat, and you call your buddies, and you played.
I was one of the neighborhood that put together all the games. Right? I call, figure out what people feel like playing. I'd be making all the phone calls and so forth.
It was
awesome. It was great. But
that doesn't happen anymore. Though. So now, again, necessary evil of the travel programs. It's kids don't get outside and play, just play, and that's where you learn all those skills.
And here's the thing: if like overseas in Europe, we wonder why you get Dirk Nowitzki and you get all these athletes that are multi-talented, skill-wise, like in basketball. Overseas, they practice twice as much as they play. Here, we often have game after game after game.
Right.
Now think to yourself, are you during a game going to try something for the first time? Probably not. If you're right-handed playing basketball, you're probably going to be using your right hand a lot because you are more sure of it, right? How many kids do you see that go to high school and they can't make a layup with their offhand?
Yeah.
That to me is crazy. Like, that's a fundamental. Just to your point from earlier, Mike, we ought to be making sure that kids are fundamentally sound so that they can adapt to whatever they need to do, But if all a kid is practicing is every place you go, everything's 3-point shot. Yeah. There's no mid-range game.
It gets boring after a while, to be honest with you.
Well, I think the NBA, it's a problem if you're going to stick 4 players, in or 2 in the corner, and maybe you play a 2-man game, pick and roll. And look, we're not going back to Princeton and Pete Carroll, although that was beautiful basketball.
Yes.
All the backdoor cuts and everything. I mean, I'll never forget, the Georgetown Princeton game, and it was a foul at the end of the game. Princeton should have won. But just learning the fundamentals is just really, really important. And if you're not developing those things and it's all about winning now, that's not helping our kids in the long run, I don't think. But, and I'm talking young. I'm not talking high school. I'm talking 12.
I think it comes down sometimes. Some of these coaches are like when I was young, and they get thrown in because they needed a coach. The coach, the U10 in Warwick Powell football.
Yeah,
I couldn't teach anyone fundamentals. It was just run it to him hard.
Yeah.
And
you're going to rely on the kids that are naturally more gifted at that time, and that's understandable.
And at 10, no one's gifted. This is my first coaching experience, and then, I reverted back to what I knew, and what I knew is just yell. Football's violent. Yeah. You have to be violent. And, I'm telling these 10-year-old kids, and so this dad called me, Coach, we really appreciate what you're doing, but man, these kids are 10. I remember this conversation, but they're 10 and they might not understand some of the things you're saying.
How did you internalize
some of them
when you heard that
at 19 years old?
Yeah.
I like to think I'm a very reflective person because I think I make a ton of mistakes in my life. So I'm able to accept that criticism, and I appreciated that. What he told me, it opened my eyes because I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I wanted to go help the older kids and be just an assistant and learn. And they said, here, there's no one to coach in 10 years.
Yeah.
And so that first year, I learned a lot. And we didn't win a game. We couldn't do anything right. But that was my
really
fault.
Young ages, Mike. Most of this it's not so much teaching the sport. It's more about how do you handle a group of kids that are 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old.
I'll tell you, it was.
That's a big part of it.
Without being a parent, like I had nothing to reflect on.
Yeah.
I was 19.
Yeah.
And the guy I got to help me never played football before. He was just my neighbor.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot that year. Like I said, we didn't win it. We couldn't win a thing, but it was small victories. If we got a first down, I was happy but again, I was the coach. It wasn't them not knowing what they were doing.
Right.
It was me not knowing what I was doing.
And the degree to which coaches can look at the game through the eyes of the kids, not an easy thing to do.
No.
But the more that you can do that can bring you to that patience and understanding you need. And that's when you can help kids celebrate those moments when it clicks and they now understand a concept. Like, that is so cool.
Does that fuel your enthusiasm for even starting midfield?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, growing up, I did not have good coaches, but they're good people. Even high school level, I went to prep school, went to Lawrence Academy up north of Boston. And I was lucky because I could play sports, because at that time, they weren't doing the kind of recruiting. I mean, I knew a couple of years ago, Lawrence Academy had I don't know, it was Moses Brown, whoever, had to cancel a game because the kids were all like 300 pounds, Just physically it wasn't. But this was well before that. But we had teachers that were coaching. And we had a tough situation. I was quarterback. And I had sort of an ability to throw the football, right? But I was weak. I was thin. I was about 115 pounds. And I turned sideways, you can't see me. So I well understand why a coach wouldn't want to play me, quarterback. But when I went in, we moved the football. Maybe it's because they were afraid I was going to get killed. And it's funny because I asked the coach, and the coach is a wonderful teacher. I liked him a lot. But we should have been really good. But, this is back in like 71. A lot of drugs, a lot of alcohol during that time. We had really gifted players, and we should have done much better. But our starting quarterback he couldn't really throw the ball well. Did everything else, really good athlete. I could throw, but I'm useless otherwise. And I could throw up to about 35 yards, but I was real accurate, And the coach, apparently what happened, I found out later, is the captains went to the coach and said, look, we got to start Wilson. He didn't want to, and I don't blame him. I understand it. But he never helped at all. The first game I started, he gave me only half the first team reps that week. And I got really no coaching. I mean, just I was sort of on my own. And I had asked him, we had 15-yard splits, okay? So you have nobody on the team at the quarterback position that can throw an out to a split of 15 yards. I mean, anybody knows football. That's a hard throw.
Yep.
Because you got to have a lot on it. And if you underthrow it or you throw it late, it's getting picked.
The band is playing. That's what I always say. Yep, the band's going to play.
It's going to play. You know, throw late the outside is bad at every level. Right? We've seen it at every level. But what I asked to do was, can we just close down those splits, at least when we're facing third and long, you know? Because I was the student, you know, I was always making up plays and all that stuff because I was into that. But the one thing I asked, and I didn't know I was asking, but I wanted I wanted what I called a direct snap shotgun, which, you know, just wasn't being done. There was very little of that at the time. He just, Chuck, we're not out in the quad throwing the ball around.
Yeah.
My point is that you've got choices. You know, you can adapt your offense. You know, you can adapt your team a little bit to your players, which I think makes, at least at some level, makes some sense. Or you could just have your system. And if you got a big enough talent pool, you find people that fit the exact system that you're looking for. But in our situation, you know, that would have benefited. But I learned a lot from the experience. But the biggest thing, John, you know, when you talk to so many people, most athletes want to win on merit. You know, you want your kids to be able to look in the mirror and be proud of the fact. Like I used to, even in pickup games, if there's an argument on whether the ball went out of us, let them have it. And I would just double down like I was just going to go at them just that harder. I'm not going to sit and argue and lose playing, you know.
Right.
Just fine. Let them have it and go back and go at it. But the loss of pickup, that's where you tried things, you know, and it wasn't all this adult-driven and so forth. So, look, there's some advantages for today, but that loss of free play has been a real detriment.
It really has. Yep.
Final question. Where can people learn more about Evenfield?
If you can, just head over to evenfield.org. Evenfield Honors, if you are a Rhode Island interscholastically, you're a coach, you're an administrator, you're a game official. Game officials are in the best position. If you see, it could be a coach doing something that has a good thing to have done, could be an athlete, could be a fellow game official, could be anybody. If you're in that category and you see somebody do something that you think is admirable, just bring their attention to it. You know, we have a simple online form at evenfield.org, and help us honor remarkable role models and let us help capture those moments on video that we can continue to share and just have kids consider, you know, what would I do in that situation? Because, you know, in life, it's not what you can and cannot do. It's what you ought to do. And it's not what I think you ought to do or you think, it's what they think they ought to do, you know? And if you could develop that kind of character, you're going to be somebody who's trustworthy in life and can be relied on. Those are really valuable attributes you can pick up from sports regardless of how well your team plays.
Right.
We can't thank you more for being here for this little confab. Chuck, I appreciate it so much.
John, it's
great to have you.
No, it's a pleasure. You and Johnny and Mike, I appreciate it. You know, and we're open to anything that we can do to try to improve the youth sports experience. You know, if you have questions concerning that, just you know, get in touch with us.
Final comments, boys?
It's a great organization. It's a great idea. I think all those people out there in Rhode Island athletics need to kind of jump on this. You're combating social media. You're combating the Instagram play of the game. And they're not asking those questions. Yeah. They're talking about just results. And then you don't see the real piece And the real piece of high school athletics is develop that resilience and the character. And Even Field does that. I think the Interscholastic League recognizes that and promotes that and wants that for our kids. Athletics is a great avenue for our young people to be involved and to grow up to be great adults.
Yeah.
And so this organization and others, just do that. And so I would encourage all my colleagues out there, athletic directors, coaches, officials, to get on board, recognize anyone who can do this and move sports in the right direction, not just based on who's the spotlight athlete of the day.
Yeah, there's so many negative, right? There's so many negative stories out there. Let's show some positivity here and help kids to be able to be a mentor to others. Because we're all mentors to somebody else. Just watching how we behave, how we act, and so on. So,
Hoots?
I can't say enough about sportsmanship. I point it out all the time when we're doing the games.
Yeah.
You can ask John. I always find that kid that helps somebody up or pats his player on the back, or even an opponent. Hey, nice swish or nice shot type of thing. I always find that. I always look for that. It's just something in me, because I wasn't a great player. I stopped at CYO.
Yeah.
So to see sportsmanship and see somebody, give a kid a pat on the back or something like that.
Yeah,
it just means
and
a
when I
lot.
think about helping, like I'm not saying you help somebody up every time, but if you have a particularly hard foul,
Sure.
and he really, I think it elevates the game, right? And it's a way to bring out the best in the game.
I pointed this out at the EWG Prout game. EWG beat Prout in the quarterfinals, and we were still on the air and we were wrapping it up, and he and I were talking, and then all of a sudden all the parents were still there waiting for their sons to come out of the locker room, and EWG's fans were still there because they're mingling, and Prout comes out of the locker room, round of applause from both teams, wishing, congratulating Prout on a good year, and the seniors come out, and the end of the season, but both teams' parents clapped for Prout when they came out. And I pointed that out. I'm like, wow, look at that. I've never seen that before. That's pretty amazing that they could do that. That EWG fans stuck around and saw the Prout kids coming out and gave them a round of applause. So that was heartwarming, actually.
It is. And let me just leave one last thing. One cool thing is we're not only recognizing the individuals for even field honors, but those who are being honored will also have a chance to go to Gillette Stadium this fall and be part of an event in which it'll be an away viewing game. In other words, you'll be able to watch the Patriots at an away game, but also be able to be honored in person. We hope to be able to have it be an experience where you're able to go to Patriots Hall of Fame, maybe through the visitors' locker room. We hope to be able to have parents attend and so forth. And we realize in student athletes, some may be seniors and on to college perhaps, but if they're going to a college in the area, it would be on a Sunday. So that'll be another way in which we can celebrate the best of middle school, high school sports.
And that wraps up an extraordinary show. Checking in our thanks. Our thanks to Todd and Paul Joyle here, Mr. V, Mr. J's, Mr. V's. That
That's
goes
a
back
long
like
time.
45 years ago.
I burned down years ago. To let you know.
Like I told you before, there's something lost off the fastball. But for Mr. J's, for Mike Green, Johnny Booth, John Furt, so long for now. See you next week.